Principles of Marketing, Customer Relationship Marketing, Chapter 7. First of all, I'll give an overview of the question. This question is based on Chapter 7 of the study guide. It does not require any material from Kotler and Armstrong. The question requires you to show an understanding of some key terms from Chapter 7, and it also requires you to apply them to a real-world context. This is a feature of questions in Principles of Marketing, where we do expect students to be able to apply somewhat abstract concepts to real marketing situations. In terms of answering the question, this is what students could have done. The first part asks about bounded rationality, externality, opportunism, and asset specificity. These concepts are explained on pages 77 and 78 of the study guide. Bounded rationality refers to people being limited in terms of their ability to receive, store, retrieve, and process information. What this means is that regardless of how much information is out there about different products, their prices, specifications, and so on, our ability to capture and understand that information is limited. We cannot get it all, and even when we can, we may not be able to understand or remember it all. In terms of a cleaning business, the buyer may not be aware of the different processes that different cleaning contractors use. They may not know what chemicals are used, and so on. Customers may find it difficult to compare the prices and the quality charged by different contractors, because they may not know as much about the cleaning business as the specialists do. Externality refers to an agent pursuing private goals. Bear in mind that the usage of the term externality here is totally unrelated to the term positive externality, which appears in Chapter 10. Examples of externality are where an agent or contractor tries to maximize the gains to themselves at the expense of the person employing them. For example, an agent charged with letting property for a property owner may not necessarily get the highest rent possible, but instead they may focus on getting a tenant as quickly as possible so that the agent can earn their commission. Opportunism refers to an effort to realize individual gains through a lack of honesty in transactions. People can be opportunistic in situations where they know that the other party has bounded rationality, because they know it will be less likely that they will be caught. Thus, in situations where the supplier knows more about the product or service than the buyer does, the supplier may be encouraged to act in an opportunistic way. Finally, asset specificity refers to the extent to which investments made to support a particular transaction have a higher value to that transaction than they would if they were redeployed for any other purpose. This means that a firm makes an asset-specific investment if it buys a product which has a value when used with other products offered by the same supplier, but which has little value outside of that contract or with anyone else. The purchase of video games by consumers that can only work on Microsoft's Xbox are asset-specific investments. They only have value when used on the Xbox and not anywhere else. They cannot be used on a PlayStation or a Nintendo Wii. When airlines buy Airbus aircraft, that can be an asset-specific investment. Their pilots are trained to fly Airbus aircraft, but the training may not be of any use when it comes to aircraft made by other manufacturers. The above concepts could be used in the framework of the airport cleaning contract in the following way. For example, with bounded rationality, the airport managers may be less experienced and knowledgeable and have less access to information than those of the specialist cleaning company. This may mean that they are not able to monitor levels of cleanliness or the frequency with which the cleaning is undertaken, and this may particularly be the case where the cleaning is of a specialist nature. The same monitoring problems could apply if the airport were employing its own staff. It may not have the capability to monitor them effectively. However, the sales staff at the specialist company could argue that in order to protect their brand reputation, they would be less likely to take advantage of the airport management's bounded rationality and would be more likely to provide a quality service, even if they knew that it would not be effectively monitored. In terms of externality, whoever is doing the cleaning may pursue its own private goals, And again, the specialist company may argue that the value of its relationship with the airport and the need to protect its brand equity would mean that it would be less likely to do this than in-house employees or firms that did not have an established reputation. If the airport decides to do the cleaning itself, it may need to purchase special equipment in order to do this. Such a purchase could be seen to be an asset-specific investment. The machines could only be used for cleaning and nothing else. This could mean that the airport's own cleaners could behave in an opportunistic way. For example, they could ask for pay rises, knowing that the airport's asset-specific investment would stop it from seeking an alternative way of doing the work. The salespeople for the outside contractor could argue that having the contract outsourced would mean that there was a much lower asset-specific investment made by the airport, and if the contractor did not do the work up to the required standard, the airport could switch contracts and lose much less than if it had been trying to do the work itself. The key challenges that students face in answering this question are to explain the key concepts asked for in the first part of the question. Better answers will succinctly explain the concepts. Weaker ones will do so using many more words. This question gives creative students the chance to really apply concepts to a particular situation. Again, answers that seek to deal with the last part of the question on the basis of general knowledge would be heavily penalised. There is also a clear link between the concepts asked for in Part 1 and the context in Part